Hi there. In the wake of the 9 years old little girl who died by suicide in Calgary, I have a message for all Canadians. Mainly, I want to address these issues with the media, journalists, reporters, Facebookers, and every influencer. You don't want to be part of the problem that was the way I was up to a year and a half ago. There's an issues need to be discussed here today, and I want to address it with you directly. Please help me to spread this video, share it, like it, talk about it, and spread it. If you're really concerned about what happened to this 9 years old little girl, Amal al-Shtawi, and what factors contributed to her suicide, please listen to me and listen to me carefully. What I'm going to say today is just one angle to the issues, but I think it's vital and I think it's important, and I think all of us can play a role into these issues. My message again is for news outlet, media, and anybody who's in the journalism in Canada and abroad. My message is related to Syrian in Canada. We all heard about this 9 years old kid who died on March 6, 2019 in Calgary. And tomorrow or day after tomorrow, Calgary Board of Educations, they're going to have the first public conference about the incidents after we put a lot of pressure, obviously. There is a community agencies meeting the following day on Tuesday, led by CCIS in Calgary, bringing the agencies together to talk about these issues and the causes and the things need to be done. May 2nd, there is another meeting led by the Center for Newcomer and Immigration Services or Immigrant Services Calgary, to bring it is a community hall meeting to talk about the bullying, talk about mental health for newcomers. I want to talk to you public. I want to talk to Canadian. I want to talk to average Joe. I want to talk to those people who like or dislike Syrian refugees, who like or dislikes immigrants, who like or dislikes where the country is going. We all partner in this. If you came a year before me or 100 years before me, or if you're going to come a year after me or 100 years after me, we have the same equal right in front of the law. We have the same responsibility to build the country. We have the same responsibility toward the kids. My few point that I want to really specifically talk about is the word Syrian refugees. I was one of the causes, and I was a victim, or I was one of the people who used that word extensively for 2 years. Because at that time, I felt Syrian refugees need lots of help, and the word refugees is going to bring Canadians together to help those newcomers. But I did not know at that point, even I'm aware of it, but I thought the benefit of it is going to be by far more important just the side effects, till I really hit me home. On the night that girl passed, and I was in her house with her family, and she was still, her blood fresh in the hospital, as we say in Arabic. She was just still in the emergency room, and we're having these conversations about talking about what's going on. And the very first things were said, we don't want to talk about it. And that was like so many people around me saying this, we don't want to talk about it. She died, and that's it, Allah yarhamah. That's her fate. So we don't want to talk about it because we don't want another sentiment that Syrian refugees are in the news again. Syrian refugees are causing problems again. Syrian refugees are asking for more. We had enough. And that really, really hit me. Where we're talking about the 9 years old, a little girl who just passed away. But there's really people are afraid and get so intimidated by what's going on. I just want to highlight how really important to stop using and referring to Syrian newcomers as Syrian refugees. I was one of them. I've done it for 2 years. I stopped doing that for a year and a half. And even talking about it today, a friend of mine said, if you say this, people are gonna blame you just because you were part of it too. I said, you know what? If I was part of the problem one day, I'm gonna be part of the solutions today. I'm not gonna let this continue, especially after the 9 years old. I'm a past and always see all these headlines: Syrian refugees girl, Syrian refugees girl, Syrian refugees girl. And what that really is doing, the word refugees, it's causing a lot of problems. It's causing a lot of problems. And one of the problems I'm going to address with you today is using that word. It marginalizes the whole group. It makes them feel targeted. It makes them feel, they're complaining too much. They whine too much. They're asking too much. And they are not. I mean, there's bad apple in any societies, any communities. And there's great people in any societies and any communities, but also the average Joe, the average Syrian who want just to be Canadian, they just want to live their lives without being in the spotlight, day in, day out, talking about every little things they've done, whether good or bad, especially those bad ones. And I'm just going to give you a heads up for a lot of people out there. Whomever came 3 years ago, if he or she didn't speak English today, guess what? Their kids speaking and reading and writing. And when they read these comments, left, right, and center, and awful comments, really bad comments, they get absolutely upset, angry, disappointed, afraid. You know what? How many people are afraid if they complain they're going to be deported? That's one of the reasons this little girl gone. Because you know what? Her own family members said, Sam, we were told not to complain, because if you complain too much, the Canadian government, they're going to throw you back in Syria. If you don't like it here, go F whatever. You know what we hear. We know what we're saying. You know what? And that really starts to be a very, very, very negative part into what's going on. So I want to just pass this, emphasize on it, because I know so many people of you out there, you know about it, you're aware of it, but you don't know how deep these issues are. And I'm just gonna explain it to you from two different ways. The word refugees in Canada, it really means help. It means people in need. It means people just need our support. Those people that suffer a lot, and they need our heart and mind and pocket and wallet, all's gonna open for them. That's why when we rally for Syrian refugees, that was the motive, is we want the maximum support for them. But being Syrian myself too, and I do understand, the word refugees in Syria, it has a completely different meaning. It's a very humiliating word. Syrian been the host for so many refugee waves throughout the last who knows how many years, but at least I'm aware of, like say, last 100 years. You have wave after wave after wave of refugees. And the experience of refugees in the in the host countries, it's completely different. Canada is not like Syria, the economy and all this stuff. So Syrian people associate the word refugees with really negative, very negative connotations. So, and we have to break the stereotype. We have to break it. So let's stop, especially media people, stop referring to Syrian newcomers as Syrian refugees. I know it's catchy, I know it's making headlines, but it's hurting. It's causing problems all the way up, in part, for a little 9 years old girl to commit that act and take her own life, and family failed to even come forward strongly. And even though they did one time, two times, three times, but they're intimidated. When we want to talk about it the first day, the second day, the third day, everybody's telling the dad, don't talk about it. We don't want another story, another thing. We don't want you to complain, because they're going to say Syrian are complaining. And this is not right. I mean, I'm a proud Canadian. I'm proud Syrian. But this is not right. If you're from Syria, or you're from Finland, or you're from South Africa, from China, you're from India, from whomever, you're Canadian. That's what I understand, Canada. If this is not true, let's call a spade a spade. If this is not true, let's call it what it is. But don't tell me we're all Canadian equal. And then when it comes to something like that, you know what? If you're Syrian, that means you're calling too much, you're asking too much, you're complaining too much. You're just about give me, give me, give me. You are refugees, and if you don't like it, go back to your whatever countries. These things are really hurting. You're not fixing the problem. You're creating like gaps in between community. You're just creating problems. You're isolating people. You, the one who are using this, are doing that like a way I did it 2 years ago. So please, that's the lesson number one. Lesson number one, no more jumping on the other people. Hurt slash emotions slash fear slash hope. Because Syrian, just like anybody else, they just want to be active Canadians. They want to be active members. Syrians, they love being called migrant, love being called immigrant, love being called Canadian Syrians, Syrian Canadian. They love to be called newcomers. And if you want to refer to Syria, it's fine. Why don't we shift from Syrian refugees into newcomers from Iraq, from Syria? It doesn't really matter. If you really want to inject that little word, that's fine. But I'm going to hold from here today forward, and please help me to share this video. When you referring to Syrian refugees as refugees, you are really part of the problem. You are not a part of the solution. Why? Because when you say, I'm a Syrian refugee, and I am a Syrian refugee, let's say, and nothing wrong with that, but still, you can say it once or twice. Some of them are already a citizenship, for God's sake. They already apply for citizenship. Whomever came 2015 or 14 is already a citizen. Whomever in 2016, they just apply. So it's hurting. It helped in the past, and it hurts now. Something really hard to understand. In a way, just like it took me 2 years to understand it. And even though there's a lot of good people around me who really pointed this to me, and as I said, it took me 2 years to understand it. But the death of Amal give me hope that we're going to find a solution. And even Amal, her name, is an Arabic word of hope. So let's find hope in what happened to little girl, 9 years old, Amal. Let's learn lessons after lessons after lessons. This is not about a 9 years old Syrian girl who commits suicide. This is about bullying. This is about trauma. This is about isolation. This is about language barriers. This is about cultural barriers. This is about intimidation. This is about feeling unwelcome in a way that every little things I do, you're always going to put me under the spot and say, he did, she did, he took, she took, he asked too much. It's really, if you, the parents, are not aware of this, kids are picking on that. So that's lesson number one. So please help me to spread this word. Please share my video. Please criticize me. Whatever you want to say, but at least let's think about this. What we're talking about today is going to be in the past. Syrian or Swedish or African or Hispanic or Chinese or Asian or whatever that names. This is what made Canada a Canada. Okay? This is about the future of Canada. This is about the future of Canada. So let's help those less fortunate. Let's help those vulnerables. Let's help these kids. They don't know how to communicate their emotions. And they don't know this. They know how they few words. They know they have communication skill to say hi and bye and okay. But they've been like shut down. You know what? Stop. Don't complain. You're Syrian. Don't complain. They're going to throw you out. Don't complain. You're like a refugee. Enough. If you don't like it, you know what? People are reading your comments, guys. People are reading your comments. And this is not good. No matter what's your cause, no matter how you're trying to justification, there are kids who are reading what we read, what we write, what we say. And you don't want this to happen. Bullying is a bullying is a bullying is a bullying. There could be hundreds of reasons for that. I know so many people, myself, that really have issues, but they don't want to bring it up. And if they do, I mean, it's not easy for them, all of us, especially Arabs, especially Syrians, after the trauma of 7-8 years, to talk about the emotional health. Because again, that's another topic. There's so many topics to talk about, but I want to keep my message today so focused on one issue only. Syrian refugees, that phrase, it's causing problem for so many. And it's my obligations and it's their right to ask us to stop using that word in a way that really make the whole group, suffer from that. There's an Arabic saying, and I'm gonna finish with this. We say, Zayed akhul na'is. Zayed akhul na'is. Meaning is when you do so much, it's equal you do nothing. When you do so much, that means equal to do nothing. It starts to hurt. And I really think we are getting to that point, if it's not already past it. Let's be active and solve one of the reason why this little girl, 9 years old, took her own life that way. In part, because she failed to communicate her feelings to her parents. Parents failed to communicate fully to the schools. Schools failed to act swiftly and understand what's going on. Community, agencies, societies failed to understand what is going on. And this has happened. Yes, one is too much. One is way too much. So would you please help me? Share my video, like it, criticize me, demonize me is fine, but learn and listen to what I just said. It's really important, and I'm counting on your support. And I would like to thank anyone and everyone who's going to share this video and spread the word. Thank you very much.